There's something to be said for the faceless Korean, those that are calm, collected, reserved, humble in victory. But in esports, I often like to see players that and teams that know that they're the best and aren't afraid to show that they're the best. That it comes across in their play and their personality that they have this level of arrogance, boldness, swagger, bravado. But there definitely is a time and a place to display this, and that's what prompted this video. G2's Arrogance and their and how it really failed, how it was disgusting, disappointing. It was really more complacency than anything, actually. But to illustrate the difference, I thought I would bring up a couple examples where this arrogance, this bravado, was really cool. Like the Astralis versus Fnatic game at MLG Columbus, the major in 2016, where Astralis on the last round, where they were certain that they were going to win, versus Fnatic, they took a pause. And Astralis, Kerrigan in the post-match interview said that he did this to make them think about it. He showed them who was boss, and that was baller as fuck. It was amazing. It was one of the, in my book, one of the most incredible moments in CS:GO. It was amazing. It was, that was just incredible. And Astralis used Fnatic's weapon against them. Well, Fnatic in the Pronax year, the Fnatic pause, to kind of make your opponents squirm, to make them feel bad, to have them settle in their juices, and to feel this sort of disgust with themselves, to feel this like, oh, I should have won, I didn't win, they're better than me, oh, like, to make their world collapse on top of them. And that's amazing to see. And Fnatic had done that in the past. In 2015 they dominated. There really was no chance for Astralis to crop up and win titles. They really didn't win that much that year. They that they could take maps off of Fnatic. They were them and Envious were the best contenders to Fnatic, but it was by far and away Fnatic's era. And Fnatic displayed a certain level of arrogance as well. But this Fnatic was coming off of not only a great 2015, but they had won the most tournaments in a row in Counter-Strike history. That was 6 tournaments, and they were favorites to win the MLG major, but Astralis and other teams prevented them from going there. And Astralis, they said no to Fnatic. They said that this was their day, this was their game, and no one could stop them, not even Fnatic, the best team in the world. Fnatic, Astralis was the #1 team that day, they were saying. And to say that's just incredible. And another incredible Counter-Strike team, group of personalities, was Fnatic. They said that they were the best. They said that they were going to dominate for a year, that they built up this era, this dynasty that I'd say was even better than the NIP era. The 87-0 took place in the early part of CS:GO, where the field was very weak, but Astralis was playing against a high level of competition and said, despite this, we're going to be better than NIP. We're the best Swedish team there is. Fuck Get Right, fuck Forest. We're the best. The infamous time where they didn't shake their hands, and they were this was a continuation. They showed the world who was boss in 2015, and as I was saying earlier, TSM and Envious, they couldn't beat Fnatic. No, they had nothing on them. And contrary to popular belief that Fnatic was good on every map, no, they weren't good on every map. They were just so good at the game, so far beyond everyone else, that they could beat most teams on their best maps. They could play any map against them. Obviously there were like a few exceptions, like TSM's Dust 2, but Fnatic, it was by far and away their era, their dynasty. And to display this arrogance was amazing to see it. Fnatic was undefeated basically. They were the gods of Counter-Strike in 2015, and their arrogance forced their opponents to respect them. This disrespect style was like a BDSM Counter-Strike nightmare, and that was amazing to see as a spectator. But where arrogance goes wrong is, when it gets to this level of complacency that G2 has, where they say, they're the fourth best team in the world right now, and it's not like they are really closely ranked to Astralis, FaZe, SK. There's quite a bit of a difference between them. G2 is not even close to contesting for third right now, I would say. There's Shox, who has this insistence on playing with the op. They're force buying all the time, and now they're refusing to veto properly. So earlier this week, Valve had changed their veto system from each team bans 3 maps and then it goes to a randomizer, to now Team A and the higher seed team gets to choose whether they'll be Team A or Team B. Navi chose Team B, which I think is the weaker position, or that's what I was hearing. But Team A gets to ban 2 maps, Team B gets to ban 3 maps, and then Team A gets to pick the map, or ban the last map. So basically picking. And then the Team B gets to pick the side. So the veto phase didn't go as was expected. The analyst desk was expecting Inferno or Cobble, but that was not what happened. It went to Overpass or Nuke. Many people would say that Navi shouldn't have let it go to Nuke, that that Nuke is obviously one of G2's best maps. According to Wallaby Beetle's rankings, G2's 7-2 record, I believe, qualifies them as being the best team in the world, and that's quite a good record, if I'm remembering it correctly. So if G2 were to look into HLTV for less than 20 minutes to see whose record was what, okay, Navi, even though they beat us last weekend on Nuke, we're still the best team in the world on Nuke. Nuke is one of their worst maps. Historically, it's one of their worst maps, and them being bad on Nuke goes back for years and years. And they're not good on Nuke now. We're the best team in the world on Nuke. We have Kenny S, who defies what other operas do on Nuke. He bends the rules. He breaks he defies all logic with his ability to op on a map that isn't really designed for operas to play on. That's one of the reasons why Navi isn't very good. Guardian, their superstar, their secret weapon, he's unable to be very effective on the map, which is one of the reasons why Navi is not a very good team on Nuke. But Navi, they're not a bad team on Overpass, which was the other map that was left up to. Kenny S had revealed in the post-match interview that they were split between which map they wanted to play, so they decided with a coin toss, which is Valve's previous system. Valve had eliminated the randomness to promote higher play, to to give this I guess advantage for the higher seeded team. But G2 just decided, okay, we're going to leave it up to the randomizer again. We're going to make our own randomizer. We're going to not care about this game. Yeah, it was disgusting. It was complacent. It was it's not what I want to see. They lacked any them failing to research for just a few minutes showed that they really lacked any desire to win, that they lacked all determination. They wanted to win on their own terms. They didn't want to do whatever it took to win. Like SK, for instance, in 2015, they came over here to the United States. They lived in a house in LA. Some of them were sleeping on the ground. They were all crammed together. They were far away from their home. They were doing what no other Brazilian team had done before. That a few months before then, they had to ask for funding in order to go to MLG X Games in Aspen, which they did go to. They showcased their skills, but they gave up their whole lives. They risked they risked everything to be professional Counter-Strike players, and they won. They are, it's paying off. But G2, they want to win on their own terms, and that's not going to make you champions. You're going to pick up a win like every once in a while, but you're not going to be able to be the team with a dynasty like Fnatic, like NiP were in the early days, like SK is now, basically. Well, that's arguable, but yeah, SK is the best team in the world right now. SK did very well in 2016. SK, their sacrifices are paying off. They're very visible. But G2, they have this level of complacency that does not. They have this that they don't have. They haven't earned the right to be arrogant in the game, and you know that of course they can be arrogant, but they're just going to lose the game. So you know, the complacency, I see it in a few different ways in this team, like how they weren't cohesive enough as a team to decide what map they were going to play. They didn't figure out what they wanted to do before then. They didn't establish these things, and they just left it to a coin toss. There was like Smiths, he's the coach that they want, not the coach that they need. He's a cheerleader. He's a water carrier. He's not the disciplinarian, the slave driver that they need, the person who says, you're going to practice now, you're going to play this map, you're going to win on this map because I've studied how you play, I put in the work, and you're going to put in the work as well. You're going to win here. You're gonna do this whether you like it or not, and you're going to win. G2 definitely has the pieces on paper in terms of the team, at least the players, of a world championship team. This was the dream team of Shox and Kenny S that we never got to see in the past, but now we're seeing it unfold. This is supposed to be an amazing team. This is supposed to be a major winning team, yet they only won one tournament this year, and that is extremely disappointing. They are the fourth best team in the world, and that's by quite a fairly large margin. They're not contesting really to be the third or the best team in the world right now. They really don't have much of a chance to win this major if you see them playing games like they did against Navi. I really don't count this as a G2 win. I count this as a Navi loss. This was Navi's game to lose, especially after that half. And G2 was playing against a weaker level of Navi, a Navi where Guardian was not going off, but Edward was. And when you see a player like Edward having a good performance, it often means that this guy is not having a superstar level performance. He's not taking the game into his own hands, really. It's just because players like Guardian, the real superstars, the people that you expect to show up all the time, is not showing up. He is taking a back seat and allowing Edward to get frags, which is not an effective way for Navi to win games. It was even though G2 is playing against a lower level of Navi, they lost this map, or that they were close to losing this map. It was a very close game. They completely lost the first half, and certainly for the second half, it was Navi's game to lose at that time, not really G2's game to win. After the first half, it really got out of G2's hands, and it was Navi's game to lose. And you know, to see this really disappointing level of play from G2, this lack of preparation, this lack of foresight, you know, it doesn't come down just to the game, who shows up in the match, but there's so much that has to be done beforehand in order for you to be a winner. Like, you know, live in a shitty house in Los Angeles and sleeping on the floor and watching demos and stuff like that. But you know, in this game, G2 obviously put in none of that work. They were complacent. They talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk.